Hey channel, welcome back. Just a quick public service announcement video today. Unless you guys have been living under a rock for the past month, you have no doubt heard that SoCal Motor Gear has put out a stop use announcement for its product, the Pathfinder Accessory Hub, that I've got installed on my bike. I bought it back in February of 2023, so we're going on 19 months that I've had it on my bike. Not a single issue with it. But if you have read the notice or you've heard anybody, Cruiseman or anybody, talk about this, you know they want you, SoCal wants you to immediately, if you have this part installed on your bike, immediately disconnect it from the battery. Apparently there was a couple of fires and they are still investigating the cause of these fires. They don't know that it was this power accessory hub, but it must have been enough to cause their lawyers to go, you need to put this out. So they did, out of an abundance of caution, put this out and ask everybody, if you own this part number PAH60, and there's a few others too. You can go to the SoCal site. There's a few other part numbers. I'm not sure why there's multiple part numbers, but there's a few others, I believe. But you can look it up on their site. They're asking anybody, everybody, if you have this, they're telling everybody rather, if you have this part, disconnect it from your battery. So Cruiseman and I were in Colorado when we got that notice, as did just about everybody else. And we rode back from Colorado without any issue, and have been eagerly anticipating a solution from SoCal. And SoCal has come up with a solution. And I'm here today to show you that solution and put it on my bike. It's a very, very simple install. And you can get the solution free. You just need to reach out to them. And I'll put a link at the bottom of the page, and I'll put it here on the screen, where you can reach out to them and get yourself this fix. It's just basically an inline fuse is what it is. 10 gauge wire, and I think it's a 40 amp fuse. Anyway, that you install and will help fix the issue. Now personally, I think that a lot of these two fires, I don't know what they're going to find in their investigation. I imagine it's going to look something like this. But anyway, if you're asking me what you should do about this, if you have this part, I am going to push you back to their recommendation and ask you to immediately disconnect this part from your battery. That is my official answer. Now, personally, did I do it? No, I did not. I was willing, as a personal choice, just to accept the risk against multiple occasions where SoCal reached out to me directly by name. Disconnect it, Robert. And I decided not to. So today I've got the thing, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to show you how to hook it up, and hopefully it's going to solve the problem. If you haven't already reached out to them to get one of these, please do so. So let me show you the part and then we'll get started. We'll put it on the bike. Got the bike on the center stand here in the garage, and we're going to get it installed. Okay, here's the fix. It's basically just a 10 gauge wire with a 40 amp fuse and some heat shrink material, and you are going to connect it to the battery on one end and to the hot wire that goes to the part we're talking about, the PAH60 Power Accessory Hub part. Has a red wire coming out of it, which is the power. You're going to hook that here. And then you're going to slide this heat shrink material over it and shrink it down. That's all there is to it. Very simple. Like I said, they'll send you one of these. Just ask for it. You don't have to have a receipt. You just have to prove that you got the Power Accessory Hub on your bike, which is easy. A photo or whatever. Okay, so reach out there and get this fixed. All right, let's get it installed. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is take off my ultimate seat here. I don't think you have to take off the seat to do this, but it's going to give us more visibility of what I'm getting into. So I'm going to take off the seat so we can see a little better. If you need help taking off your seat, Cruiseman has some videos on his channel that tell you how to take off your seat. I have the added complication of having a pigtail for jump starter and trickle charger installed permanently on my bike. Fits inside here, nice and neat. But real estate's in short supply here. Seats are held on by two 6mm hex bolts. And if you have the stock Honda seat, there's a couple of nylon pins up here in the front that are pushed into grommets. On the Ultimate seat, there's no pins. It just lifts out very easily. But you got to take the heating element apart on the other side first. Not a hard thing to do, really. It's remembering to do it that is the difficult part. Now, under my seat is not going to be as neat and tidy and clean as Cruiseman's, okay? Nobody can achieve that. But certainly not as bad as what I showed you before. Well, I say that. All right. Let's take a look. So this is the underside of my seat. And honestly, a lot of that wire is the Vantrue dash cam remote that's up here on my handlebars. That's totally unnecessary, but Vantrue can't seem to make the item without having this remote switch. It doesn't work without it, so I can't just cut it off. You can see I've got several things attached to my negative terminal here and several things attached to the positive terminal. Okay, my power accessory hub is right over here on the side, and there's a big thick red wire you can see on the bottom side here. That's what goes to the battery. So I'm going to follow that around, and I am guessing that it is that right there. Coming down here, this big guy here, and yeah, ties in right there. All right, I told you there's not much real estate here. Let's undo all of this. Just unscrewing the positive terminal here. Max McAllister with Traxxion Dynamics makes a longer positive terminal screw. You go check out Traxxion Dynamics. You'll find that on his website for sale. Whereas mine, you can see, is just this shorty screw, but everything seems to fit. So here's what I have. This is my pigtail for the Scosche jump starter and the trickle charger. So taking that off for the time being. This next big thing is the power accessory hub. That right there is the power accessory hub. That's what we're going to be working with. So I'm going to fish this back out, and the rest of this can just sit tight for a little bit. We're not going to do anything with this. I've got a, looks like some of the other accessories went directly to the positive terminal, and yeah, they have inline fuses, most of them, so already taken care of that. Okay, after 19 months of use, this power cable doesn't look bad at all. Like, certainly doesn't look like it's ever overheated. It's dirty, that's it, but I take special care to never ever put anything, no wires on top of these frame rails. They'll get pinched, and that's when you really start short-circuiting crap. Make sure they always go underneath the frame rails. All right, let me get the fix part, and I'll show you how to put that on. Okay, here's the part. It's got an eyelet connector on one side, an eyelet connector on the other side with a bolt and a nut, a lock nut rather, so that'll crimp down. And then it's got this heat shrink material that we're going to put over the whole thing and shrink it down. Now that won't make it waterproof, but it will make it water resistant. And then it has the inline fuse right here. Pull that out. What do we got here? Hard to read. 40, yep, 40 amp. Inline fuse, that ought to be plenty. Okay, let's put this on. Okay, the line coming from the Power Accessory Hub just has this eyelet, right, that had connected to the positive side of the terminal. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect with using the nut and the lock washer, sorry, the bolt and the lock nut. We're going to connect these two together. So let's just do that. Going to take that off. I'm going to take the washer off that comes with it. Okay, there you go in my hands, the nut and the washer. We're going to put that through just like that. We're going to put the washer so that these two are connecting to each other. This red wire and this red wire are touching each other, okay? Now, put the washer back on. We're going to put the lock nut back on, and we are just going to cinch it down tight. What do we got on the other side? That looks like a hex key. All right, let's figure out what size we got going on here. The lock nut is a 10mm size lock nut, so we're just going to put the socket right on there. And then the bolt is a hex bolt, and it is a 4mm hex bolt. And we're just going to turn it until it cranks down tight. And I think I'm going to keep that in line, making it look like a straight line. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. I don't know. Maybe I'll crank that down after I get it underneath here. Let's see, because I may want to kink it a little. Hold on. All right, I'm going to fish it back under here, under the rail, as I said before. I also like to fish it under this bracket that holds the battery in place, because if I put it over the bracket, across the back bracket, these edges of this bracket are pretty sharp, and I'm just afraid it's going to cut into that. So I don't really want to do that. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can just, and here's where I may want to twist that thing. I want to see if I can just route it through here. Okay. Right up there like that. That's right there by the positive terminal. I think that's going to work. All right. Let's get all my positive stuff connected again then. Again, let me remind you, I am not a trained electrician. I am not a trained mechanic. I am doing this on my own bike, and you should not follow my lead. You should get a professional to install this on your bike. Absolutely get a professional. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. Okay, I have simply run out of real estate on that positive battery terminal. So the Scosche jump starter pigtail is going to have to come off for now. It's the one I'm least likely to need to use. I'm going to order the longer screw from Traxxion Dynamics, but in the meantime, everything else on the bike is safe. So we'll put this on when I get the longer screw. But for now, it's all connected back to the positive terminal, going through this thick 10 gauge wire through the 40 amp fuse up here and connected right here. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up just like it is, and then put the sleeve over and heat shrink it next. All right, let's make sure this is good and tight. Okay, that's good and tight. I'm going to put that heat shrink over the top of it and go get my little mini torch and heat shrink that up. All right, that's shrunk around that nut pretty good. Like I said, it's not waterproof. All right, let's get it all back together. All right, well, there you have it. Fairly easy install. I simply ran out of room on my positive battery terminal screw because I think the fixed part has a thicker connection at the terminal than the Pathfinder Accessory Hub did. And that fraction of a just smidgen little bit took away the real estate I had for the screw to bite. So like I said, Traxxion Dynamics makes a longer screw that fits in there, so I'm just gonna have to go get it. In the meantime, I pulled the pigtail out. I've got the fix in, so now my Pathfinder Accessory Hub is safe and I am compliant. Let me remind you again, if you do not yet have this fix part and you do have the Power Accessory Hub on your bike, I strongly recommend you disconnect it from the battery until you get this part in to fix it. Thank you for joining me, channel. Until we see each other again, ride safe, and God bless.